Whether you are moving from Texas, from California, or even overseas, one of the most common questions we get here is, what's the weather like? And today we are going to be breaking it down season by season so you can be prepared, and definitely stick around for the end because you absolutely have to hear this before you move here because you need to be prepared.
Right before we jump into the weather, if you haven't been to this channel before, welcome to the channel. If you have, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again. We are the guys, we are the relocation experts here in Colorado Springs. This channel is all about where to live, work, eat, play. So if you're making a move, whether it be from California, Texas, overseas, whatever the case may be, reach out to us down below. All our contact info is down below. Check out the relocation packet, grab the link for that. We want to chat with you. We'd love to help you make your next move. And let's jump into the weather here.
All right, spring. What is spring like in Colorado Springs, Sam?
Spring is probably, honestly, my least favorite season.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I would agree with that.
Let's be real. It's my least favorite season here in Colorado. March is actually the month where we get the most snow usually.
Yeah.
You know, spring is this weird mix of like, you know, kind of highs in the 40s, 50s, maybe climbing up into the 60s, mixed in with like these snowstorms that, you know, will dump 6 or 8 inches at a time randomly.
Yeah.
And then be gone in 2 days. And so you get this weird like wintry mix all over the roads, dirties up your car a bunch, all over the trails. The trails are kind of muddy. It's really just not my favorite season, honestly. Although we do need the precipitation every year, and we need it late in the year for water runoff, for, you know, fire prevention, all those sorts of things. It's a really important season. But, you know, for living a Colorado lifestyle, it's probably my least favorite season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think the last 2 years in March was when we had those like sub-zero temperatures for a few days too.
Yeah.
So it can get crazy cold. I think March is actually the coldest month of the year.
Yeah.
Which was crazy to me. And it'll snow even as late as like May. I've even heard early June before too.
I've seen some snowstorms that have reached up into early June. It's kind of wild.
Crazy. My Texas brain cannot comprehend that.
it was a few years ago, people were skiing in A Basin on July 4th.
Yeah, that's wild.
So really, like, what we're trying to say is like weather in spring can be wild.
Yeah.
It can be absolutely wild.
Nice thing about, sorry to cut you off, but one nice thing about springtime is spring skiing. You don't have to get all layered up, especially like in April. I've seen people roll down the hill in their bathing suits, you know? So it is a really nice time to ski. The runs are a little slushy from time to time. But, you know, it's nice to not have to throw on 4 layers to go skiing or snowboarding. So.
Well, I mean, you kind of do need layers, and we'll get into that later. Like, the key here with weather is always be prepared.
Yes, always be prepared.
Yes.
That's true.
Absolutely. Let's jump into summer, man. What is summer like here?
Oh, summer is my favorite time of the year, man. I absolutely love it. Yes, hands down. You know, it gets a little toasty later on in the summer, but when I say toasty, I'm talking like 92 is the high. It's really not that bad. That's where I think
I disagree.
Oh, okay.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
Keep going.
That's where really the most activities are available is in the summertime. The wildflowers from our spring showers have bloomed. Actually, this year in 2023, we have a super bloom. Pretty incredible. If you have the chance and you like seeing some pretty flowers, definitely recommend going out to Crested Butte, doing some hikes. They have a wildflower festival out there. But yeah, I mean, there's whitewater rafting, hiking, camping, fishing. And that's really, in my opinion, where you get to experience like that Colorado lifestyle.
Yeah.
So summer is my favorite time of the year. It's also farmer's market season. It's peach season right now.
If you guys didn't know, Francis loves food.
I do love food.
Loves food.
I'm a big food guy.
Big food guy.
Yes.
I would say summer's probably my second favorite season. It's a close second. You do get to enjoy all of those amazing outdoor activities. The hiking, it's 14er season finally, like, you know, so you can go climb some mountains, really test your mettle up there. tons of camping, like, backpacking, all that stuff. That's the stuff I really love that I'm really into. And you get to do all that in the summer. You do get quite a bit of afternoon, like thunderstorms and showers and stuff that, kind of roll through on a daily basis. But I think in July, which is our hottest month and really the most kind of summery month, on average, we're getting like 8 rainy days in the month. So it's really not that bad. The thing I will say about Colorado, and it's true, I've looked it up, I've looked at multiple sources, we get 300 plus days of sunshine here. 300 plus days of sunshine.
That's pretty nice.
And, it just, I don't know, it makes it really easy to get out and kind of enjoy that active lifestyle for sure. One thing I dislike about summer, allergies.
Oh, yes.
Allergies. And this year has been worse than any other year I've lived here, because this year is probably, it's probably rained more than any other year that I've lived here. And I've been here almost 20 years at this point. 18 years this year. It's rained a ton, and then it's been pretty hot when it's not raining. At least for Colorado, it's been pretty hot and pretty sunny. And so all the trees are letting off a ton of pollen. All the flowers are letting off a ton of pollen, which is great for, bees, and the blooms are great and everything is green and beautiful. But my allergies this year have kicked my butt.
Me too.
Absolutely kicked my butt. And I've never seen pollen counts like they were this year. So this year's definitely abnormal. I would say most years you're not, struggling with allergies and things like that too much, struggling with pollen count, stuff like that too much. But another thing to be aware of is in the summer month, it's also fire season. And that can really kick off allergies, because you get a lot of smoke in the air, whether it's wildfires here in Colorado, especially if they're in northern Colorado, and the smoke's drifting south, or Wyoming or Montana or Idaho, whatever the case may be. Even in Canada this year, I remember seeing a few hazy days because there was a ton of smoke coming down from Canada. So your allergies can, you can get your butt kicked in the summer with some allergies. So if you're sensitive to that, it's definitely something to be aware of. Definitely be taking your medicine and keeping that on hand. So.
Bring some Kleenex hiking, especially like being out on the trails. The evergreens let off their pollen when it gets warm. And man, my nose is running the entire time. So I always keep some Kleenex on deck when I'm going hiking in the summertime.
Yes, and I do want to mention about the heat. We get this comment all the time. I know that it's not that hot here. I know that 92 is not that hot. Phoenix is hotter. Texas is hotter. Florida's hotter. Hot is hot. It just is. The thing about Colorado that's so much different than anything else, you're up at 6,000 feet really here in the middle of town. Depending on wherever else you're at, like you might be on a trail, you might be at 7,200 or 8,000 feet or 9,000 feet, whatever the case may be. And on a hot day when the sun is out all day, you're so much closer to the sun, and it can just bake you alive.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
I get sunburned super, super easily out here. 92 degrees here feels warmer than 92 degrees in other climates.
Yeah.
And I will also say the same is for when it's cold, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but 42 degrees here is practically short sleeve weather, honestly, just because it's so dry.
Well, it's so dry, and then when the sun is out, even though it's 42, the sun is so strong again, you're so much higher up that like sometimes 50, 60 feels really comfortable. Feels great. So, but yeah, that's summer in a nutshell here in Colorado Springs. Now let's get into my favorite season. This is my personal favorite.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's fall.
That's fair.
Kind of going in order here, so nothing shocking. But fall is my personal favorite season here. I think the weather is absolutely perfect in the fall. We're kind of through like monsoon and rainy season, so we're not really having that many rainy days. You still have long days. The weather's cooled down a little bit, so it's almost always bearable to be outside enjoying yourself, which makes for perfect like fire pit, like backyard hangs, barbecue evenings, like, weekends where you're just outside all day and all night. If you're out hiking, camping, being out here in the fall, going on a backpacking trip, snuggling up in your sleeping bag when you know, it's getting into the low 40s. Like I sleep so well when it's that cool. I love the fall here, and it's absolutely beautiful in the fall here. Fire season has calmed down, so a lot of times like it's easier to get out and enjoy the outdoors without, you know, having like smoke or fires or anything like that getting in the way. I love the fall here. I think fall is perfect weather here. And if it was like that all the time, it'd be the most amazing perfect climate, in which case everyone would live here. So maybe I don't want that all the time, but I don't know. I can't talk enough about how much I love fall.
Yeah, I do love fall here. That is definitely my second favorite season. I love Halloween. Halloween is just the best. And also, Colorado Springs is actually like pretty damn festive when it comes to Halloween. I mean, I live in Old Colorado City. There was kids trick-or-treating. And even in like back in Texas in my little suburban neighborhood, I never saw really anybody trick-or-treating. So it's just, I don't know, it's a really festive time. Another fun thing to do, back to the food, you can go down to Canyon City and actually pick apples, which is pretty dope. We've got a lot of pumpkin patches here, and I'm not talking about a pumpkin patch that somebody just planted in a parking lot. There's like actual pumpkin patches that you can go to.
It is harvest season, so like more amazing food. The other thing I love about fall, like it's such a long like period of time in Colorado, because we really don't start experiencing winter until honestly sometimes like early to mid-December is kind of when we first start getting into winter. And so I love fall because it's a long period of time that you get to enjoy that fantastic weather. I will say the one thing I kind of dislike about it is you know, those days kind of start to shorten a little bit. You get a little bit less time outside before it gets dark. But again, that's why you have backyard fire pit nights. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that is true. One thing you should prepare for in the fall is bring some layers. I went camping out near Buena Vista last year in September, and it got down into the teens. And fortunately,
that's Buena Vista. It's
a lot higher up. But if you are planning on going camping, just be prepared. I was sleeping in my car, but my buddy was sleeping in a tent, and like the inside of his tent, like I guess there was, you know, like dew or, you know, humidity or something
over from your breath.
Yes, the inside of his tent iced over. So definitely just be prepared, pack warm.
I would say here in Colorado Springs, like lows in the fall, you're probably looking at like the 40s, 50s. Like, you know, kind of on the colder end. And then highs, you're, you know, kind of 70s, but I've even seen some days still into the low 80s, even late in the fall. So you got to be prepared with layers for sure, especially if you're going to spend the whole day out. But, you know, overall, fantastic weather.
One other thing we haven't mentioned is going to look at aspens.
Some fall leaf peeping.
I love the fall leaf peeping. There is a couple spots that I would recommend. One is, I think it's at the end of St. Mary's Trail. There's like an aspen meadow. So that's up in North Cheyenne Canyon. It's a little bit longer hike, but definitely worth it. And then I think you were talking about, is it Gold Camp or Old Stage Road that has some pretty cool leaf peeping?
Just bunch of different aspen groves and things back there. So the drive can be absolutely beautiful, and the weather during that fall drive, if you start like late afternoon, like, you know, getting up into the mountains, you're gonna be in the high 60s, low 70s. So perfect to roll down the windows and enjoy a nice long drive.
Yeah, definitely. Fall is pretty nice.
Fall's primo.
It's nice.
Getting into last season of the year, which is winter. For me, in terms of weather, I really don't think winter starts till, like I said, like late November, early December, maybe even kind of mid-December sometimes. Like, we're not really getting a ton of snow in the beginning of winter. Most of our snow accumulates like February, March, and then kind of into early April a little bit. And so winter can kind of be a little bit boring the first part of the year, while you're waiting for ski resorts to open up and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't really feel like winter, but it's definitely not still fall. That first piece of winter is just a little bit weird sometimes. So, you know, temperatures though, like really in the dead of winter, this is another thing I want to mention, man. Like, seasonal depression in winter, it's so real. We had,
it sucks.
I forget how many days Kyle said it was. I think it was like 10 straight days of below 20. not like -20, but like highs below 20 degrees. It got really, really cold here this last winter for a good stretch of time, and snowed a decent bit, more than I've seen it snow in, the last decade. So again, kind of an atypical year for precipitation. I think that's because we were switching weather patterns between El Nino and La Nina. But the seasonal depression, man, like it can hit you in the dead of winter because sun's going down at like 4:30. We've got a 14,000 foot mountain that kind of overshadows the city. When the sun goes down, that mountain casts a 51-mile shadow, and the temperatures drop like that as soon as the sun goes down. And I've seen it get as cold here as probably real feel, probably -15, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like actual temperature, I've seen it down into like, I've seen it down to 0 plenty of times, even all the way down to -10, probably at its most extreme since I've lived here. And then of course, when you're up in the mountains trying to enjoy a nice weekend ski day, like when you hop out of the car to put on all your clothes and stuff, it can be -10 to like start.
Oh
sometimes.
yeah, definitely.
It can get really cold up there in the mountains.
Windy.
Winter can be so brutal up there because it's constantly snowing. Sun's going down early, gets wicked cold. So you got to keep that in mind. Like if you're going to be up there skiing a lot, you're going to have a ton of fun in the winter.
Yeah.
If you want to live up there, but winter outdoor activities like aren't your thing, like, you might want to reconsider that, at least for the winter time, because it gets really cold up there and the sun goes down really early. And the other thing here in the wintertime, even though we get snow, it's crazy dry.
Yes. Oh yeah. Definitely bring some lotion, some chapstick.
Yeah.
If you're going out for like a little hike or on a day on the mountain, definitely come prepared.
Yeah.
Sunscreen too, especially when you're up on the ski resorts, because you're way higher than we are right now. And on a bluebird day, man, I have gotten some of the worst sunburn of my life snowboarding. It's brutal.
Yep, absolutely. The wind here is definitely another factor to address. It's windier than a lot of other places I live or have lived before. A lot of that's because unless you're right up against the mountains or in the mountains, you don't have a lot of trees. So, having a wind jacket, whether it's, fall or winter, can be something that honestly can be pretty essential. Like you kind of want to have that. You definitely want to be able to layer for winter because it can be real cold at times. It can, get pretty warm, relatively speaking, for winter at times. So you want to be able to take on and put off layers. The weather can switch a lot of times, especially like we mentioned earlier in the springtime. You got to be prepared. You got to have a warm coat. You got to have a rain jacket and some rain gear. You got to have a hoodie. In the summertime, honestly, pretty nice, pretty balmy. Gets pretty hot during the day sometimes. Fall to me is absolutely perfect. Carry a hoodie with you and you're good to go.
Yep.
And then wintertime, you definitely got to be prepared to take layers off or put them back on because it can get cold quick and at random times. And a couple other things I guess I want to mention during the winter. What's it like to drive here in the wintertime?
Honestly, on main roads, it's really not bad. The city does a pretty good job of maintaining most public roadways. The neighborhoods, however, can get a little dicey sometimes. I was looking at a house not too far from where we are right now, and it's on a very sloped hill, and I just wanted to go look at this thing. And I literally slid down that whole hill and almost hit this like Nissan van. It was, that was pretty scary.
What direction was that hill facing?
It was facing east, actually.
No way.
Yeah, it was facing east, man. I was coming down, I think it was Bijou right here.
I don't believe you.
We will go there. When it snows, we'll go there and we'll see what happens.
Here's the thing. It can pay off sometimes to have a driveway in this city that faces east because you're going to get the most sun exposure that way and have the most melt.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I guess if you were there during one of those really cold times, it really didn't matter.
Yeah, it was pretty iced over.
But like, that's another big thing that can really pay off. Like, and you'll see that on roadways too, roadways that run east to west. will get melted off a lot faster than roadways that run north to south and have that shadow cast over them.
Yeah.
But really, in terms of driving here, like, man, I got around for years in a two-wheel drive, or a two-wheel front-wheel drive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, got around for years that way. I would throw some snow tires on the winter if I really wanted to, and really felt like I needed to, but I got around just fine all the time in that Saturn in the winter.
Nice.
So you don't really, at least at these lower elevations, a lot of times you don't really need four-wheel drive, but if you can afford it, all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive are definitely going to pay off here, but not absolutely necessary here on the front range.
Yeah.
Once you get up into the mountains, you definitely want to have that, for sure.
Absolutely. Another thing I wanted to mention about winter to kind of help with the seasonal depression, get outside during sunlight. Right?
Oh, yeah.
That is absolutely crucial. There are days where I'm at the office and I don't really get outside, and then I leave and it's dark outside.
Yeah.
You can also supplement with some vitamin D. Highly recommend doing that, but just getting outside, getting some sunlight, even if it's for 15, 20 minutes during the day, is really gonna help with the seasonal depression.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people where they literally move here for the winter though, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just a lot of activities. Snow hiking is fantastic. Cheyenne Canyon, like after a fresh snow, is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
Yeah, had to say absolutely fantastic.
You did. It's beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
So that's kind of your seasons here and your weathers here. If you got any other questions, hit us up in the comment section down below. Like you said, we're relocation experts here in the city. So if you're considering making that move, definitely reach out to us. Grab our relocation packet. That's down there in the description box as well. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.